I am waiting, Your Majesty. Waiting for you to tell me why that French slit is so special to you, and why you carry her photograph around in your pocket.
All right, I tell you. She's French, and that's simple. And therefore, she's of the master race. A direct descendant of God, just like me.
Direct descendant of God? You just want to slip her the park.
Ladies and ghouls, welcome to the cinema Grotesque. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Did you miss us? I missed us. Yes, we are back. We are back from the dead or the partially crippled. Myself, your host, Travis McKeithen, along with...
Ian Anderson, the man with the unpronounceable name.
Exactly. I took this entire time off just to try to figure out how to say your name, Eagle, and I gave up. I gave up. You are forever Eagle Anderson, and I think everybody will be happy with that. Oh, man, it's nice to be back. It is nice to be back. It's been a long time. I've been watching too many good movies. I've been watching way too many good movies like The Revenant and Spotlight and Hateful Eight. God, they're all really good movies. You know what's missing out of my life, though?
What?
1980s own Forbidden Zone. God damn, we're picking up right where we left off, guys. The show we teased how many months ago now? I forgot to look it up. How long it's been?
I'm just going to say half a year.
There we go. That sounds about right. So yeah, we're coming back with exactly where we left off. Just a heads up, pretty much what we're going to be rolling with right now. Both of us are very, very busy and important people, as you could tell. We have a bunch of bad movies to watch. So the episodes aren't going to be quite as frequent as they were before, but they'll be considerably more frequent than they've been over the past 6 months. So yeah,
instead of just getting a bunch of shows, you're getting one show a month, but at least we're going to keep up this time, because it sort of, took over a lot of things last time we did this once a week.
Yeah. The whole thing is, as being adults, or kind of adults, I guess. Life happens. Life gets in the way, and it gets in the way of watching bad movies sometimes. That's unfortunate, and we're going to make some time for the bad movies here. So
to show my dedication, because I'm always taking notes when I'm watching bad movies. When I'm taking notes and watching a movie, The Forbidden Zone has a meager runtime of 70 minutes.
Yep.
Very meager, but we'll get into that a bit later. But for me to watch a 70-minute movie and take notes, that turns into a 2.5, 3-hour process.
Yep, and I am considerably less prepared, although I have watched the movie 3 times in between the last time we did an episode. So
good. Maybe you can remember the plot.
A little bit, what little plot there is. But without further ado, guys, thanks for joining in, and let's go ahead and knock into the Forbidden Zone.
Travis, sometimes you see a movie and you just ask yourself, just how did this get made?
Drugs.
The Forbidden Zone is not one of those movies. I know exactly how this got made. This got made by Richard Elfman watching Pink Flamingos and said, this movie isn't gay and stupid enough. I can do way better.
Exactly. It's not Pink Flamingos isn't quite as homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic, really every bad thing in the world. It doesn't have quite enough of that, so let's throw it into our movie. As well as racial stereotyping. Yep, that's how we start off the movie, pretty much.
Less than a minute into the film, we already have a dude in blackface, the first character we meet, and you know what the dude is doing? dealing heroin.
Of course, because it's 1980, and that's what people in blackface did in 1980. Ego, I know
That's
I'm
how
a
you
little.
know. Okay, we don't give a shit. There are no rules. We don't give a flying shit.
I'm a little bit older than you are, sir. In fact, funny enough, this movie was actually released on my birthday, my first birthday. I was born the same day this movie was released in March 21st of 1980. So yeah,
explains so much.
Exactly. I share so much with it, a common bond, really. But yeah, so we start off and just shucking and jiving in blackface. And yeah, we get a little Star Wars prologue where some text comes up on the screen letting us know exactly what's going on here. And fill us in a little bit there, Eagle.
Yeah, so the black dude who was dealing heroin, he stumbles across something spooky in a house.
Oh, yeah. Very spooky.
And from that, we are taken to the credit sequence. And the one thing that this movie has going for it is that it's Oingo Boingo.
Yes.
But this is during a very transitionary phase of the Oingo Boingo because the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo were a musical cabaret show which was sort of mostly headed by Richard Elfman.
Yep.
Then he made this movie and sort of in that process stopped doing Oingo Boingo, and his younger brother Denny Elfman took over.
That name sounds familiar. Why would I know that name?
Danny Elfman is mostly known for being Tim Burton's Music Man.
He's one of the most well-known guys doing movie music out right now. I mean, think of Beetlejuice, the original Tim Burton Batman, Edward Scissorhands.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, pretty much everything. He's done a couple of. He did the Batman animated series as well, I believe.
Well, they used his theme, but the score was actually done by his the person who worked like underneath his subordinate.
Okay.
She took over the animated series and did quite a lovely job of expanding on that sound because with, yes, Danny Elfman being very, very sort of prolific in the past, let's say 20 years, with Spider-Man, he did that theme.
Oh, yeah.
What else has he done? He's popping up all over the place, not just in... not just in Tim Burton movies.
Oh yeah, I mean he's once again, as I said, when you think movie music, he's one of the ones that pops up there, almost even with John Williams as far as being recognizable for his music. He's sort of the
if it's not Hans Zimmer, it's probably Danny Elfman.
Exactly, and it's got a little bit of a spooky sound to it, especially. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, the Simpsons movie, he did that. Desperate Housewives, he did that theme. Silver Linings Playbook.
So many. I mean,
of course. He wrote the Simpsons theme even.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And he did the original TV series, The Flash, not the one that's going now, the one that was going on in 1990.
Okay, nice. But yeah, as I said, I mean, absolutely amazing music. I mean, I commonly listen to specifically Beetlejuice's soundtrack. So yeah,
I have some choice words about Danny Elfman, but we'll get into that later.
Exactly. So yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, we're introduced to the Hercules family, and these are sort of our main characters for this piece.
That's realistic, yeah. It's definitely
the show has a playbill like presentation of the players and their actors during the credit sequence.
Exactly.
So we have the Hercules kids, which are played by Richard Elfman's wife, Frenchie, who is probably one of the worst French accents I've heard.
That is the most realistic French accent I've ever heard in my life, Egil.
You're an American. You wouldn't know a French accent if it came and bit you in the face.
Exactly. So it's absolutely amazing. I'm totally fine with it.
And her brother, Flash, Hercules, who's played by an aging Jewish man, wearing a Cub Scout uniform, a Cub Scout shirt and underpants.
And a propeller hat on his head.
And there are so many characters who just wear underpants in this movie.
Yep. No reasoning, no rhyme or reason. It's just, that's what we had in the budget, so that's what you're wearing, I suppose.
We were only going to shock you from the waist up, but...
Yeah, things changed halfway through production.
So, we're introduced to the Hercules family, and it's those two kids. It's a mom and dad, and a grandpa, who is played by an overweight man with like dark circles painted over his eyes, and a just stupidly fake beard, which reached down onto his stomach.
Yeah. It's supposed to be pretty much a stereotypical Hasidic old Jewish man.
And a Hasidic Jewish wrestler, as we find out later.
Exactly.
Who has to be tied down because of dementia.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah, well, the only thing I understood from that scene is the dad doesn't want anybody to go down in the basement because that's the forbidden zone.
Exactly. We can't go there. It's too dangerous.
Yes, but then while the characters are talking, the scene devolves before your very eyes into a roaring 20 song and dance jazz number for no reason.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is a musical. This is the first musical we've had on Cinema Grotesque.
This is not a musical.
This is totally a musical.
This is not a musical.
There's a lot of songs, some of them original, so yes.
But this is not a musical. A musical uses song and dance to advance plot. This movie does not that. It has song and dance music to fill in its meager 70-minute running time, and it still feels like one of the longest movies I have ever seen.
If you can't tell, this was my movie that I picked.
Yes.
So yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about Danny Elfman earlier. This movie plays a lot on music. In fact, this was the first movie that Danny Elfman actually scored. So so there's music. I'm holding up air quotes right now. Music in this.
Music does play a part. I'll give it that, but it is no musical. I will not sully the name of the musical. This is at best a cabaret.
I'll take that.
This movie has a theme song called The Forbidden Zone.
Yep.
Which was then later recycled by Danny Elfman for the theme to the animated show Dilbert, which was then dubbed The Dilbert Zone.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea about this. He actually sent me a link beforehand. I was like, wait a second. That's the same song, just a little bit different.
Danny Elfman is... So, and we'll find this later in the movie, Danny Elfman has not only been ripping himself off for the past 20 years, but most of his career, in fact, is him referencing himself. You don't have to do anything other than listen to the Spider-Man theme and then the Batman theme, and it's like, oh.
That's fair. But it's good, so, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, both Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer have that thing that you hear a score by them, and it's, there's no way that this is anybody else, or this is someone doing them.
Exactly.
They have a very distinct sound. With Danny Elfman, if it has then that is I have a lot of mixed feelings about Danny Elfman.
Okay, we'll get into that later.
But yeah, so the kids then go to school where they find the Oingo Boingo version of Oscar the Grouch, who lives in a trash can and is a kid called Squeeze It.
Yep, who has I don't know if it's a nervous tick or if it's a comedic thing to where Squeeze It is constantly flapping his arms like a chicken.
He's called the Chicken Boy also. Like, way later in the film, we're giving a reason for this way past the point of us caring about it.
Yeah.
So, Squeeze It goes to the kids talk to Squeeze It, and he tells them that he had an out-of-body experience with his transgender sister who was playing the auto harp while a frogman was holding a sword to her neck, forcing her to play and sing for the enjoyment of the king and queen of the sixth dimension, the king being played by the dude who played Knick-Knack in The Man by the Golden Gun, and the queen being played by
Susan Tyrrell.
Susan Tyrrell.
For those who haven't seen The Man with the Golden Gun, Herb Valanche was the deplane guy in Fantasy Island. That he was pretty much one of his most notable roles in America, at least.
Oh yeah, who hasn't seen Bond? Okay, yeah, but Knick-Knack was playing the king, and and the thing is that everything I just said about the out-of-body experience with a transgender sister playing an auto harp with a frogman holding a sword to her neck, that all happened in the movie. Yep. I am not taking drugs, I swear.
Yeah,
this happened.
Yep, and that's one of the least weird parts about the movie.
Well, we're only 15 minutes in. I don't understand anything, and the central plot hasn't even been introduced yet. This is a 70-minute long movie.
Yes.
And at 15 minutes in, you already have lost all grasp of it. It's like a greasy balloon you're trying to grab on in a hurricane. It just keeps slipping.
Exactly. It keeps you on your toes because you never quite know what's going to happen next.
Then the frog cuts off the ear of the transgender sister and eats it. And that's how the scene ends.
Yep. Makes sense.
So, terrible renditions of Beautiful Dreamer are a motif in this film. Why did they have to be terrible? I could get it if there was one good version in that, and then the terrible renditions were a callback to that, but...
No, they're pretty much all grunts and noises, more so than the actual use of words. And yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, which, why do you hate Beautiful Dreamer? It's a good song.
I don't know if they were mocking it or if they were just having... I'm not going to even pretend to understand the motivations behind this movie. I'm
not ever going to pretend to understand the motivation of Richard Elfman.
Drugs.
So, the kids get into the classroom, and one of the members of the class is Hitler.
Yep.
Just casually, Hitler there in boy shorts.
Yep.
Which is never referenced in any way in the film.
Nope, not at all.
And also a gang of pimps.
Yep, in the back of the classroom, which could have possibly been. Let's go for a stretch here. They were in the back of the classroom. That could have been civil rights that it was trying to discuss here. And no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was a happenstance.
No, I would believe it. I believe it. I believe it in this movie. So, when you're a kid in high school and you somehow get your hands on some kind of video equipment. Then you start to make stupid sketches and movies with your friends, the sort of thing that doesn't make any sense to anyone outside your circle of friends.
Yep.
This movie is just that. It's Richard Elfman and his friends making fools out of themselves in front of a camera.
Yeah, with a little bit of a budget, yeah.
With a little bit of a budget.
Very little.
But the title cards in this movie are aggressively terrible.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, honestly.
Because the teacher, of course, is played by a man in drag. There are so many men in drag in this movie. it stops sort of because it sort of moves past the point of comedy, but not enough to make a statement. It's somewhere in the limbo between tasteless and symbolic.
Pretty much, I think the way to figure out if it is, in fact, a woman playing a woman or a man playing a woman, at some point in time, if the woman's tits are out, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, it's probably a guy in drag.
So, yeah, because the school scene just doesn't make any sense. They do some sort of song and dance, I think. Oh, yeah. But it ends with just Frenchie jumping out of the window, literally. Mirroring the audience desires, I'm guessing. We then get a title card which says, "Bored and disgusted with school, Frenchie returns home to confide in her mother." This is clearly the student of the Tell, Don't Show school of filmmaking. You know, that experimental, very well received.
Exactly.
Said nobody.
Thing of the 80s, you know. But yeah, one thing we didn't mention, what she does is she returns home to speak with her mother. Her mother's on the ground because in the opening scene, when the kids leave for school, the father, for some reason, just punches the mother right in the face for no reason.
Yeah, that happened during the whole Jazz Roaring 20s number, and it sort of washed over me, and I didn't even notice. It just sort of, this, you know, it was the sort of thing that this movie isn't a movie you watch, it just happens to you.
Yep, that's about right.
So, yeah, I assumed she was being unconscious due to pills and alcohol, because why wouldn't you be if you're on that set?
Yeah, that's probably very accurate as well.
So, Frenchie being bored, she decides to do what any kid would do. I don't know how old they're supposed to be.
I think they were alluding them being quite young. Yeah,
which makes later bits in this movie really problematic.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she decides to take a look into the Forbidden Zone, and because there's a roller skate there, because why wouldn't there be a roller skate just laying about on the floor in the basement where it's dark? She accidentally falls into the Forbidden Zone, and what happens? Oh my God. What happens is a Terry Gilliam-esque sort of transportation scene from a reality, I'm not going to call this our reality, to the sixth dimension, aka the Forbidden Zone. And this is so horrible and so ripped off. I think Terry Gilliam would just spit at the screen if he saw this.
It's kind of almost like a steampunk version of like the inside of you, like organs and intestines and everything else, which is quite apropos.
This is very like Monty Python animation, but done without any sort of the wit or charm. And at the end of it, she is literally defecated into the sixth dimension.
Yep, the big old butt drawing on the wall.
And she lands on brown pillows.
There's symbolism there. The brown pillows mean shit.
Yeah, they even make a squishy wet sound. From there, she sort of wanders off and comes upon a boxing ring. And there are two idiots in the boxing ring that make weird noises while this woman with this terrible French accent dances like an idiot. This isn't even a bad movie at this point. This is an impossible movie. There's nothing that could have been done to make this scene good, let alone understandable.
Okay, I'm going to have to pop in here. The people making the noises to the music in the boxing ring are the Kipper kids, Harry and Harry Kipler. The only thing else you would have ever seen them in is a UHF, which we might have to do that movie. I really enjoyed that movie. The Weird Al Yankovic movie that came out.
It's better than this by years.
But yeah, essentially they were a comedy brothers that did very, very strange out there comedy that involved everything from pouring canned food on each other, making odd noises while doing so in G-strings.
It's sort of Tim and Eric before Tim and Eric.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty accurate, just not without the little bit of wit that Tim and Eric have.
Yeah, without the understanding comedy bits.
Yeah, there you go.
So, well, who the princess of the sixth dimension wanders into this scene because nothing is happening, and we need actually just please somebody come along and help the plot along. The princess comes into this scene, somehow knocks out Frenchie, and I immediately understood why you picked this movie. She is topless for the entire run of the movie.
Yep.
In every scene she is in.
For
she
no
is
reason.
only wearing underpants.
Like granny
Again,
panties.
Yes,
yeah.
underpants. Not panties, underpants.
Yeah, that's kind of her role. Is she is the princess, and she is in fact the only character that just stays that actually has a decent amount of screen time that is topless the entire movie with no rhyme or reason to it. But yeah,
Nobody gives a shit.
I was a fan.
Not even the king and queen.
No.
They just
Her parents are just sitting there looking at her with her tits out.
So, I sort of blacked out after that boxing scene ring. So when I came to, Frenchie was being brought to cell 63. Something happened with the king and queen. They talked for a bit. I don't know.
Well, pretty much the only thing in between that was the princess brings Frenchie to the king, and the queen's there. The king automatically falls in love with her. When questioned why he falls in love with her, because she's French. And that was his entire reason.
She is descendant of gods.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know that until this. But bad French accents equal descendants of gods.
Well, obviously, we have found the answer to why Americans hate the French.
Exactly, because we love another...
Pure jealousy.
Exactly. France constantly fights with Jesus about who's the better god.
So yeah, that's sort of what happened, and she was sent to cell 63, where King Knick-Knack keeps all his sex slaves, and regularly pops in to take photos of them.
Well, there's one way you know that they're sex slaves. Did you notice that by chance?
They're chained to the wall and mostly naked,
and wearing Mickey Mouse ears.
Oh yes, the Mickey Mouse ears, of course.
Once again, no reason. It's just happening.
I sort of understand this sort of in retrospective, because, like Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, of course, child prostitutes. It all makes sense now.
And they did it before those people were even born.
Exactly. So
Richard Elfman, genius.
that must have been some peyote trip. He went into the future. Beside the credit sequence, 22 minutes in, we actually get something that's worthy of note. That's something that's actually entertaining and good to watch.
The princess's tits.
The Queen's song, which is
that is
a nice
good.
little ditty.
It
that
is
a very
song.
nice little ditty.
It's kind of
has nothing to do. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the plot or anything.
No. It's just she's a badass.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's sort of establishing I'm the queen and I kick ass and chew bubble gum.
Pretty much, yeah. Just the little bit of exposition that she is kind of an asshole, but she's nobody to be fucked with.
So, yeah. So then all of a sudden like I said, I sort of have black spots in my brain regarding this movie because they were having this. Then Knick-Knack and the Queen are at like this huge dinner table, sort of this wedding party long table, and they're talking, and like I really like I really like Hervé Villechance. I can't pronounce French.
Me either.
Hervé Village. Let's go with that.
Oh, Hervé, yeah.
Hervé, yeah. I really like him. He's a great actor.
He did a great job. Over the top, but great job.
The thing is that I can barely understand what he's saying half of the time.
Yeah, subtitles would have helped out a little bit, but you don't really need to hear every word.
I mean, yeah, the queen is being jealous that he's in love with Frenchie, basically, and the scene abruptly ends with them fucking on the long table.
Fucking the queen, the two of them.
Yeah. They are fighting, but then sort of they just fuck.
Yep. Because
which is, anyway. If you, this is rule number 1 of sketch comedy. If you don't know how to end a scene, go with violence or sex.
Or both.
Preferably. God damn it, I hate the title cards in this movie. They are aggressively bad. It's like they either explain something that you should see, or they explain what had just happened.
Yep. I mean, just in case you missed it, we wanted to let you know. And you know what? We were going to shoot this other scene, but here you go. Here's some words.
No. Or it explains what you're what you are going to see in the next scene.
Yeah, just in case you weren't quite sure while watching it, here's what's going to happen.
So, Frenchie is brought in front of King Knick-Knack by Frog Butler.
Yep.
King Knick-Knack and Frenchie then have a conversation while the Frog Butler spazzes out in something that appears to be dancing, but quite frankly isn't. For no reason, there's no music, there's nothing. He's just spazzing out there behind them, and they're having this intimate conversation.
Yeah.
King Knick-Knack then shows Frenchie his painting of a pin-up BDSM scene, like 50s BDSM. And what else? They, of course, end the scene by fucking on that same table that was just used for fucking in the previous scene.
Exactly. So the juices are still ripe.
Like, we don't know how to end this scene. Okay, they fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. We're going to give Hervé Village so much ass in this movie. We owe him.
Oh, yeah. Villechance just is constantly... But I'm guessing this is probably very true to real life.
Oh, he was crushing pussy left and right.
Oh man, he and Susan Tyrell, as a matter of fact, were dating in real life before this movie came out. Then they broke up sort of right before or during the production of this movie, which led to some issues.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I can definitely see that. So we cut back to the school to have a musical number.
Oh yeah.
This is some kind of alphabet song that turns into a dirty limerick for no apparent reason.
Because. That's all you need to know. Because.
I was reading about it, and apparently it's some sort of reference to the Three Stooges, which, I don't know, I've never had any much exposure to that.
I can see it. Some of the physical comedy.
Yeah, well, the song in particular was something that was sang in a Three Stooges movie.
Okay.
And then they, changed the words to make them dirty.
Well, of course.
So naughty. But, like I said earlier, how in musical numbers are used to advance the plot or to establish something, but the Forbidden Zones does not only say fuck you to common decency and film convention, it also flies in the face of musicals and cabaret, saying fuck your rules. We're the mystical knights of Oingo Boingo. Let's have an alphabet song about gays.
Yeah, and F for fuck, and H, and stuttering guys doing B for some reason. Yeah.
B for boobs.
Exactly.
C for cock.
Might as well. We'll write our own AB song.
Yeah.
Elephantitis.
E for elastic nipples. I don't know.
A little bit of a stretch, but that's fine.
So, because nothing ever actually happens in the school, now
Flash.
Yeah, Flash. Flash Hercules now jumps out of the window. this happens once again later in the movie.
Yep.
Anytime someone exits the schoolroom, it's via jumping out the window.
Yep. Which
is
isn't
just
a
sort
window. It's literally paper that's drawn
paper.
up to look like a window.
Yeah, it's a paper thing that people jump through. I think it's trying to subliminal message you into committing suicide.
Could be.
Just jump out the window, jump out the window, jump out the window, and the pain.
That's the only way we can get to the next scene. Jump out the fucking window.
So yes, Flash, who is again played by a very elderly Jewish gentleman in a Cub Scout shirt.
In his underwear.
In his underwear, gets the support of his grandfather, and they head to the sixth dimension to rescue Frenchie. And they meet a Jewish man.
Yeah, for no reason.
There's a lot of Jewish themes in this movie, and I sort of wish I could understand, but I don't think I'm supposed to.
No, it's an inside joke. We're not supposed to get this, I don't think.
I'm not circumcised. I'm sorry.
Oh, shame on you. But yeah, very, very stereotypical Jewish guy to where they go up to him and he says, for 3 shekels, I'll tell you how to get your sister out of the forbidden zone.
Oh yeah, no, he comes into the scene. Change your local currency, change your foreign currency for local currency, which I think the Elfman are either Jewish or half Jewish, so.
Could be.
There are definitely either, but still, I mean.
Yeah, I mean.
Come on, you gotta scrape the bottom of the barrel.
It's a moneylender joke. I mean, and come to find out, in the sixth dimension, a quarter is worth 2 oversized dice.
Yes, 2 crapshoot dice.
Yep. No reason, once again, but you don't need it.
And they never use those dice in the movie to, as a MacGuffin or something to resolve anything. It's just a thing that happens and then is forgot about.
They're never to be seen again, for the most part.
No. Like 90% of this movie.
It's that anti-conventional, yeah.
It's that time of the show where we talk about rape. Well, this movie has it. It just keeps happening.
90% of our movies have it. Because in the 80s and 70s and even a bit in the 90s, it happened in movies a whole lot. We can't escape it. We're not looking for this.
Consent was a lot looser term back then.
Yes. But the amount of rape in this one beats all of the movies we have done.
Well, I mean, thankfully, and I'm very thankful for this, after such movies as Star Babe, all of the rape happening in this movie takes on the form of dry humping.
Yeah, it's all dry humping, and most of the time, all clothes is on. It's meant for comedic purposes. Yes,
but seriously, there is more dry humping in this movie than an 8th grade co-ed sleepover.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially once Hercules and Grandpa come in, just anything that's around's going to get dry humped by them.
And most of them are chained to walls.
Yeah, chained to walls. There was one scene to where it was actually, I don't know if you noticed, but the Kipler brothers actually show up quite a few times in this movie.
Yeah, they keep popping up.
Yeah,
like
both in the
bad rash.
In the classroom. They also do a cross-dressing thing to where during this first humping scene / rape, to where it's dressed up like in drag again. There's one woman fully nude that gets dry humped, and then the Kipler brother who's in drag that gets dry humped, and then another woman that she's not getting raped. She actually invites the dry humping.
Yes. So she's like, oh, hey, I'm over here.
So 2 out of 3 definitely rape. 1 out of 3 consensual.
The thing that sort of bothers me is that they then, like, the grandpa is dry humping one of the women, and then Flash starts dry humping the grandpa.
Yeah, because he was getting in the way of Flash dry humping the naked lady. So naturally, the only thing you can do in that situation
is it's sort of rape by the way of Three Stooges.
It's rape by proxy, pretty much, yes. So you're in the way, but somehow this is going to happen. There was probably a lot of cum stains all over the place in there, if I had to imagine, with the amount of dry humping that went on this entire time.
So, yeah, this is sort of the point of the movie where I found out that I definitely like the new wave band Oingo Boingo better than the musical cabaret The Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo.
Oh, I actually really, really enjoyed their version of Cab Calloway's Minnie the Moocher, where essentially the exact same music but different lyrics to kind of push the plot forward. Kind of like a musical does.
Was that the one which was done by Danny Elfman?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get that. I have choice words.
Okay, we're close.
So the Queen, we cut to the Queen and the Princess torturing Frenchie in a cabaret of horribleness, which ends with the Princess almost shoving an electrified dildo up Frenchie's coocher before it blows a fuse and the scene abruptly ends. It was, blow a fuse. Every scene, scenes in this movie don't end as much as they crash into a wall.
It was kind of, it was like, it's time for a cigarette break. We'll just move on afterwards.
Poof. Okay, next scene. I'm out.
But yeah, needless to say, that was once again the Queen with another pretty good musical number.
Yeah, that was good. That was Susan Tyrrell has by far the most salvageable performance in this whole thing, with maybe the exception of Hervé
Villance.
Hervé. I would say.
Either way.
Those two definitely have sort of the most. They make the most out of what little they are given.
Exactly.
So at some point, Grandpa and Flash were dropped into a septic tank by the Queen. It sort of happened. This movie is a blur.
Yeah,
it's a waking nightmare. It's like you're just remembering things like, oh yeah, out of sequence.
Yeah, pretty much. At that point in time, they were wandering around looking for Frenchie. A man in a gorilla suit attacks them as well. Oh, this is after they get spit up out of the.
Yeah, exactly. So it sort of is like a reoccurring nightmare. It's just bits of it keep popping up in random sequential order.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that happened.
It's not going to make it. It's not going to make any more sense if we explain it in order. So yeah, we'll just kind of go with it.
They end up in a septic tank, which Grandpa punches his way out of.
Yeah, because he was a wrestler.
He's a Jewish wrestler.
Yep. Acidic.
And they break out of the septic tank. Grandpa starts fighting a gorilla, who ends up beating his brains out to a pulp. It was like the elevator scene in Drive, but done to comedic effect.
Yeah, essentially it was ground beef that he was just hitting with a stick.
Ground beef.
Yeah. But at that point in time, we're introduced to a new character this late on in the movie, because the gorilla does knock Flash off the edge into another prison cell with none other than the ex-queen. Sure.
She's only titled as ex-queen.
Yep. Ex-queen, that's her.
She doesn't have a name.
Well, oddly enough, on IMDb, she only has one name as well, Viva. So.
Well, yeah, she was a Warhol, you know.
Okay, yeah.
She was around Andy Warhol, and they were all doing their thing.
Okay, yeah, they didn't need two names back then.
But yeah, of course, Flash immediately starts dry humping her.
Yep. While she's explaining her backstory.
Yes, and she doesn't react to this dry humping in the slightest.
Not at all. In fact, they have a conversation at one point in time while he's still gyrating.
Yes. And they're just very intimate conversation casually while dry humping is taking place.
Exactly.
About how Susan Tyrrell, the Queen, thought she killed her, but the king hid her away because he's secretly a good guy, even though he keeps sex slaves and has very eclectic tastes, shall we say.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yes, I agree. So yeah, we get that backstory.
And while when that sort of eventually peters out or crashes into a wall, we cut back to not the real world, but the world where they came from. And Papa Hercules goes to work in a mambo-esque song and dance number that doesn't have anything to do with anything, because why the fuck should it?
That, to me, was probably the highest production value. It reminded me of watching Metropolis, really,
Yes,
in a very low-scale version.
Yes. It had good design. The song and dance number was good. I was just so tired of things not happening that mattered.
Oh, it's so out of place. It is so out of place. But it's amazing to watch. I mean, I guarantee you can find on YouTube. Just search for anything Forbidden Zone and you'll find something fun.
I think it would work a lot better as sort of a series of sketches or, small concentrated things.
I can see
because, after such, when it goes on and on and on, it sort of loses all its charm, and there become so many characters to keep track of in this movie about nothing, really.
That's pretty accurate.
This movie has more characters than War and Peace, and it's 70 minutes long, and they're introducing characters 50 minutes in.
Yep. And then they're readdressing old characters that we hadn't heard from a while. In fact, Squeeze It comes back.
Yeah. Let's finish then. Papa Hercules, he goes to work and some kind of tar factory, still wearing the tuxedo, of course, because you work in a tar factory, you wear a tuxedo.
Yes.
And there's the union sanctioned smoke break, which then everybody stops what they're doing and starts smoking in amongst the tar pits.
Yep.
Because of course not. Which obviously ends with Papa Hercules throwing a cigarette in a tar pit, which then explodes, shooting him into space.
Yep. Past
the moon, and then back down to Earth, because gravity works in space.
It's velocity, ultimately. The velocity bringing him up. Maybe he actually slingshotted around the moon, so he was coming back in with the same velocity that he was going upwards. Come on, Eagle. They definitely thought about physics when they were making this movie.
I have played enough Kerbal Space programs.
It's close. It's pretty accurate as far as I'm concerned.
He crashes back into Earth. Fortunately or unfortunately enough, straight through his house, where his wife is in bed with a blackface character.
From the beginning of the movie.
From the beginning of the movie, and into the 6th dimension.
Yep.
Because we need another character there. There aren't enough characters there doing nothing. Come on.
Exactly.
You guys. So he happens upon 3 voluptuous ladies. That's the word, right? Voluptuous.
Yeah, in this day and age, voluptuous works.
Yep. Okay. Each eating a banana with piles and piles of banana peels at their feet.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much. Here's
there's
a
nothing you can say after that. I'm just gonna leave that hanging there.
Yep, fat chicks putting something phallic in their mouth. That was the whole gag, pretty much.
Gag.
Yeah.
So after that, he happens upon the frog butler, dry humping.
Of course,
the princess.
That's what you do.
That's never addressed in the movie. It doesn't play anything. It's just, we need these 2 characters there. What should they be doing?
Dry humping.
Dry humping. This, of course, upsets the frog butler, who then captures Papa Hercules and throws him into a cell. He doesn't do anything else for the remainder of the movie.
Not at all. Until the end.
Thank you.
He pops up for a second.
He doesn't do anything still.
Well, that's
he's
true.
He's there. but he doesn't do anything. They attempt to rescue him, but his apathy and depression has gotten the better of him, and he just decides to rot in a cell in the 6th dimension.
Yeah, as you do.
Again, 50 minutes into the film, and we're introduced to a new character, Squeeze It, and his transgendered sister's mother, who is drinking whiskey out of a bottle while being fondled and, shall we say, heavily petted by a sailor.
Yes.
When that is happening, what else do you do but decide to introduce your sailor friend whom you're about to fuck to your man-child son, Chicken Boy, a.k.a. Squeeze It. And then sort of cuckold him.
Yeah, they cuckold her son. And not only that, but really just damagingly abuse him mentally and physically.
Terribly abuse him. Pour alcohol all over him. And he's just there with chickens. And he then starts talking to these chickens.
Yep.
Saying how much he would wish he'd had more courage to go help and save, because he had been... Flash asked him to come with him to the 6th dimension to help, but he was like, no, I have to stay here so we can have another scene in this movie when I get the courage, you know.
Exactly. It was building up to this.
We have no plot. We have to stretch this.
So yeah, finally.
So, he finally springs into action after talking to a chicken and getting a phone call from Flash. Where did Flash find a phone in the 6th dimension, and how does that work?
It could have been currency, as far as we know. There's just no fucking reason.
That's what the dice were for. It was a cut scene.
Yeah, exactly. It was a director's cut. We only saw the theatrical run on this one.
So yeah, he goes into the 6th dimension. He is then captured by the titular, or sort of, Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo, and brought forth to Satan, who apparently lives in the 6th dimension as well.
And who is also apparently Danny Elfman.
Who is played by the more talented Elfman brother, Danny.
Yes, agreed.
He does, as we said, he does the whole Mr. Bojangles.
It was Minnie the Moocher by Cab Calloway.
Minnie the Moocher, Cab Calloway, yeah. He does that. And this is nearly identical to Mr. Oogie Boogie's song in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
It was pretty close.
Again, Danny Elfman has been ripping himself off not only for the past 10 years, but apparently most of his career.
And this was one thing as well that they use a lot in this, as far as not only playing the video at different speeds to show something, but also speeding it up, reversing it. So the type of the dance that Danny Elfman's doing during this is actually quite interesting to watch.
Well, yeah, this is like I said, this is almost identical to Mr. Oogie Boogie's song in The Nightmare Before Christmas. A good movie. So this is a lot better than what we have been watching up to this point.
Yeah, debatable.
Are you saying The Nightmare Before Christmas isn't a good movie?
People will disagree with me, including yourself. I enjoy this more than I enjoy The Nightmare Before Christmas. And that's 100% honest. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not trying to play up for anything. I'll get into why I enjoy this movie so much at the end, but yeah.
Okay. I'll throw up my hands for now and say, fine.
All right.
Fair enough. So we then cut to Richard Elfman, the lesser talented Elfman brother, massaging the Queen and going into a song and dance number called the Yiddish Charleston.
Which, once again, another one that I really enjoyed. It was
the Yiddish Charleston.
Yeah.
Because those things, peanut butter and jelly, man.
I mean, it's on the verge of being racist, but it is a person of that respected race doing it.
I mean, this movie is basically the Jewish Bamboozled.
That is actually very accurate. There's a little bit more of a story in Spike Lee's Bamboozled.
Yes, but, it has sort of certain themes running through it.
Indeed.
The queen then zaps him in the middle of the Yiddish Charleston with a ray gun.
Yep.
It was the most thankful I got watching this movie. I couldn't handle the Yiddish Charleston. You can't spring that on a guy.
It does take a little bit of warming up too. The first time I watched this was years ago, but yeah, I would love to have this conversation after the first time I watched it versus now where I've watched the movie 10 plus times.
There are elements of this movie I enjoyed. I would be lying if I said otherwise. But its pacing is so, gosh darn it, slow that, the sloth is my spirit animal, but I was dead. Because there is so much happening and so little happening at the same time. This movie is like going through cognitive dissonance. It's like something is happening, something is not happening at the same time.
Pretty much the way that I've always reckoned it in my mind was you had a comedy sketch troupe that got really fucked up on every drug at once and made this. Is kind of the way that I see it.
Yep. Very fair. Very fair. So after that, the king helps Frenchie escape, only for the queen to recapture her, only adding to the movie's already painfully long 70-minute running time. I mean, this happens in sequential order. The king helps Frenchie escape right after the queen recaptures her. So that's 3 minutes. That didn't do anything.
And there's even a scene to where it's like, well, what happened to Frenchie? Oh, I think she got kidnapped by the queen again.
They didn't actually kind of show it. They just,
they don't even show it. They just kind of explain that, oh, wait, fuck you. You know what? We're just going to tell you what happened.
We needed to add 4 more minutes to actually call this a feature-length film. So then the queen introduces her next torture method. Remember, the last one was shoving an electrified dildo up someone's coochie. Mm-hmm. This one is getting gang raped by guys wearing fezzes.
Yep.
And then thrown into a pit with spikes in it, Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah, that is good. So what could possibly happen? Is this going to be the end of it for Frenchie? Is she not going to make it out? Is the evil queen going to live her days out as in fact the queen? No, of course we got a little bit more.
No. Remember, we introduced that character.
Oh, that
one of the 60 side characters. The ex-queen shows up.
Yep, she's back.
And they have a one-on-one fist fight, like the worst possible universe version of Dead or Alive fighting.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Which then ends up in them making out, because, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that's how girls fight, isn't it? That's how I've always been led to believe that girls fight. Is there is
when the testosterone gets flowing with the adrenaline, the sex just takes over.
Okay,
it's how women work, man.
Exactly. I figured that was the documentary aspect of the movie, but
so. The queen, of course, uses the distraction, never lose sight of your enemy, and throws the ex-queen into the pit, rendering this whole scene completely pointless.
Yes.
So while that was happening, we saw Mama Hercules in the real world, or in, this universe's approximation of it.
Yep.
Looking at an alarm clock, and the dials were going like super wishy-washy.
Yep.
Then when the queen is dead, and the ex-queen is dead, and the queen is walking back to the torture chamber with her tit out.
Yeah, for no reason.
Mama Hercules. Yeah, well, I mean, they had to show that she was actually a woman.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah, Mama Hercules just randomly walks in, takes out a pistol, and shoots her.
Yep. Queen's dead.
That's the end.
Long live the queen.
That's the end.
Yeah, that is genuinely the end of the movie. Because at that point, it's just fanfare. It's fanfare kind of.
So then Frenchie and the king get married. So that child brides are okay in the sixth dimension.
Yep. Because, yeah, she's supposed to be, I mean, if I had to imagine, they were going to school. If I had to...
This looked like an elementary school. They were learning the alphabet.
Yeah, so that leads me to believe that, yes, she was no more than probably about 8 years old, played by an adult woman. Which, don't get me wrong, her Eva Lunch is about the size of an 8-year-old, so maybe that works that way in the sixth dimension. It's all about size approximation to age. We'll have to talk to a physicist about this to make sure, but that is genuinely the end of it. Every character shows back up in one way or another for the final song.
Big song and dance number. Big, like I said, it's a cabaret.
Yeah.
The plot don't make sense. The plot don't matter. It's a cabaret. We're doing song and dancing here.
Exactly. So yeah.
So I read up about this movie, and when I was watching it, I was joking like, it's like they just shot a bunch of bullshit, and then at the last minute came up with some like paper thin plot to tie it together.
Yep.
That's actually what happened, man.
It is. Joking. Yeah.
That's actually what happened. The whole plot about Penchy being lost in the Forbidden Zone. We need something to tie this shit together.
Yeah, how are we going to get them in there, keep them in there? Oh, yeah, damsel in distress. Go ahead, throw her in there. It'll be good.
Right. Oh, we forgot to mention that there's one character in this movie who shows up and then starts to sing, but his mouth is awkwardly replaced with, it's a cutout of someone else's mouth over this actor.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a very large man.
Yeah, it's almost as an artistic thing in this movie.
Yeah, I know there was a music video back in the 90s that did something very similar to where it was like a static image, but they put the actual video of the singer singing on top of the static image. Now, this was actually video with a video on top of it with the actual person who was singing the song instead of the large man who was in his underwear and wife beater. So yeah, there was all kinds of just weird, wacky, out there shit where literally the only explanation, as I've said many a times throughout this entire thing, drugs. Drugs is the reason.
Yeah, it's that and just, we got a video camera, let's make some stupid shit.
Pretty much. But yeah, let me get into, we'll come to you here in a minute to hear what your overall idea is.
Let's explain this to me.
This movie, which I would actually recommend anybody go out there take a look at. For a while, the entire thing was on YouTube. I don't know if it still is or not. Have a look if you want. In all honesty, a stupid fun time, and that's why I enjoy this so much, because it is a stupid fun time. You could tell everybody involved in this movie was having a great time doing what they were doing.
Wait. Before, I'm sorry, very sorry to interrupt you, but I had to bring up, because you just reminded me somehow, we forgot to mention the ultimate fate of Squeeze It.
I forgot.
Yeah, who meets with Satan, and Satan says, hey, please help Squeeze It says to Satan, please help my friends. It's like, if you get me the princess, I'll get you your friends. So... And that only leads to Squeeze It just wandering a bit outside, happening upon the princess, picking her up and bringing her back.
Yep.
No sort of, plot or, plan or... No, just picking her up and bringing her.
Yep.
For his troubles, his head gets cut off, but because this is the sixth dimension, he lives on as a disembodied head.
Yep.
And gains the power of flight.
Yep, that was a very important part. In all honesty, it was very important showing the oeuvre of the character and how he went from a nobody to being a good
floating head.
Exactly, and with all the confidence that comes along with being a floating head, Squeeze It finally got what he wanted. Maybe.
Yeah, courage. And
sure.
The power of flight.
Yeah, and he weighs a lot less, so good on him.
We didn't even get into the transgender sister character, which
You don't really have to.
Oof, I'm not opening that can of
No,
worms,
it's just, it's kind of offensive for offensive sake in a lot of situations. It's like, oh, I'm a dirty slut. I am a homosexual man that dresses like a woman, but let's not touch it. This was 1980. It was a different time. We have to give them a little bit of, back then, oh, it's a woman that looks and acts like a man, or a man that looks and acts like a woman. That's comedy. That was more common back then.
Regardless, I just wanted to point that out, that he's a floating talking head in the end for no reason.
Yeah, I totally forgot that.
I felt that was, you need to understand just what the fuck.
Yeah, I say that I forgot that, and I literally watched the movie before we started recording.
Me too. I made notes, but there's only so much you can write.
But no,
I have to try to make sense of this.
But yeah, getting back to the point, the main reason I like this movie is the main reason I like bad movies whenever they're done well, and that is just simply the fact. If people are having a good time, and I can tell they're having a good time doing what they're doing, no matter what batshit thing they're fucking doing, there's a little bit of me that's going to enjoy that. And in this, I honestly believe that everybody on the set was having a great time. The Elfman brothers were probably having a blast doing everything. So that's what kind of made it for me. I mean, Hervé Valanche looked like he was having more than a great time. And this was, I think, maybe a couple years before his death. I could be wrong. I can actually look it up here. He died shortly thereafter, I can imagine, in 1993. So, yeah, 13 years after. I'm really good with dates. But no, ultimately everything was really fun. I had a good time. Some of the songs, as we mentioned, are actually catchy. Not that they help with the plot or anything like that, but it's just stupid fun. And stupid fun every now and then is good. So yeah, that's kind of my entire thought process. That's the reason I picked this movie. And I'll end up watching this again probably before the year's out.
So, Counterpoint.
Yep.
This whole thing feels like a stage show that was not meant to be a narrative. By the attempt to work in a narrative, it does itself a great disservice because it leads you to believe that there is a narrative to follow when there actually is none. So if you're constantly waiting for the narrative or something to connect or something to happen. But that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be sort of just taking it in, and it's a show. It's not a movie.
I agree.
I think the last ditch, and it very clearly shows that the plot of this movie is a last ditch effort, sort of cobbled together in the worst possible way, sadly, because as I said, there are very good things in this movie. There are interesting visuals. They use music interestingly, but the fact that they they open up on a plot like, oh, this is this house, or this guy was selling heroin, this family moved in, so it sort of sets it up to failure.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of just go with it. It sets you up with this sort of framework, and then it just breaks the frame and tosses it the fuck out.
Yeah, that's what's kind of a shame. In all honesty, I believe that if a little bit more time was put into the story and some of the characterization, this could be as big as Rocky Horror. Because all the Rocky,
totally, I can totally see that, but they just didn't put in the work. But which is weird because this movie took 3 years to make.
There was a lot of drugs. And sometimes when you do a lot of drugs, you're not really in the mood to make a movie.
When you're making a complete vanity project with all of your friends, people aren't, gonna willingly throw money at it.
Yeah, that was one thing I tried.
You want to do what? With whom?
I tried my best to find out what the production budget on this was. There's no evidence of it anywhere. If I had to guess, it's under what would you say, 50 grand tops?
I don't know. Hervé and Susan. I mean, Susan at this point was an Oscar-nominated actress. Oh, right. I mean, she was talked into this by her former lover. But they definitely got paid. I can't,
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I mean, they're not the biggest, but, it's fucking Knick-Knack. That's got to count for something.
Yeah, it's a totally different subject, but I hear that dwarfs get really fucked whenever it comes to money, no matter how big the movie is. But yeah, that's another subject.
Yeah, but it really could have been anything from 10,000 to 500,000, depending on, like, this movie took 3 years to make. That's gonna add a lot to, it probably wasn't shot all at the same time. There was a lot of sets built, and probably because they couldn't reuse those sets because they had to be, thrown away.
Yeah.
And so I can see how the budget would inflate horribly, because of the sort of incompletedness of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, once again, I mean, it's one of those things. There's no telling. Ultimately, as I said, my whole background behind it is it's something that I found enjoyable, but it could have been considerably more than what it was. So it is a shame in that regard.
Yeah, it's an interesting experiment, but ultimately a failed one. You can have fun with it, but sadly, it just didn't come together for me. It set itself up for failure by having those first 5 minutes mislead you into believing there was some kind of a plot.
Yeah. And
instead of, just a cabaret show.
Exactly. If they would have portrayed it a little bit different, I could see to where it would have, because I mean, I don't know anybody else who's ever heard of this movie, and which is kind of strange because I've actually been friends with people who were really into Danny Elfman's music, but were totally unaware of this, totally unaware of his background, which I can kind of understand because, I mean, although
Danny, like soundtracks and Oingo Boingo, I mean, they do have similarities, but it's really different beasts.
Yeah, but as I said, it's one of those that if you're in the mood for something really strange and you just want to turn your fucking brain off and not try to think about it, I say give it a go. It's different. It's something you'll never see again. Anything like it.
The theme song is really good.
Oh yeah, look that up on YouTube. Just simply call The Forbidden Zone. It's really good.
Or The Dilbert Zone. Same song.
Either way. It pops up. But yeah, I think that is actually it. Have you picked out the movie for next time, sir?
Yes, I have a story to tell.
Oh, please do.
So, I don't know, somewhere during the hiatus, I went to the local flea market. And I was browsing around and I saw some videotapes, VHS tapes. I didn't own a VHS player even, but I saw one movie. I'm going to go catch it. Wait, just 2 seconds. Wait, it's right here.
All right, I'll do a little bit of filling in right now. Yeah, pretty much he's going to get a movie.
I got it.
There we go.
Just when you thought the action was over, it's even deadlier. It's Red Scorpion 2.
Oh, God. Well, there's a problem, Ego. I haven't seen Red Scorpion 1. Do you think I'm going to be able to get into it?
That's the beauty of Red Scorpion 2. It has nothing to do with Red Scorpion 1.
Okay, then that should be fine.
Red Scorpion was a Dolph Lundgren movie made post Rocky IV. But yeah, sort of during his descent into straight to VHS. And I do believe, I'm not exactly sure. We'll have it sort of, I'll have it sussed out by next month. But I don't believe that Red Scorpion 1 had a theatrical release. So
not.
when you can't get Dolph Lundgren to go back to the sequel, that's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we do have Sam Fisher himself, Michael Ironside.
Oh, man.
Who, speaking of which, I have to plug this. I have nothing to do with it. They follow me on Twitter. Michael Ironside was just in a movie called Turbo Kid.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
You should see Turbo Kid.
Okay, I have been wanting to see it.
It's a wonderful, wonderful. It's basically what if Mad Max was good.
Oh, that would be good, because I kind of want that.
Exactly. It's kind of, Mad Max meets Masters of the Universe meets just fucking the 80s.
Okay, yeah, I'm watching that tonight. Awesome.
So, yeah, but next month, which is, in the month of February, hopefully we'll release this before January is over.
Most definitely.
So February will be Red Scorpion 2, starring Matt McCallum, John Savage, Jennifer Rubin, and Michael Ironside.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Red Scorpion, an elite, highly trained killing machine. Apparently, Matt McCallum was in John Carpenter's They Live. Ooh. I have seen John Carpenter's They Live about 600 times. I have no idea who this man is.
Same here. I am actually very familiar with it. So, yeah, we'll have to see. So, yeah, there's only then.
Until next month.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching Cinema Grotesque.
Goodbye.